What are we talking? Ecstasy and what? Ecstasy and questions
We
live.
already had this.
We're all on a
I had
different
this, stupid
psychedelic
idea,
at the
like,
same
this would be
time.
really cool. But it was like, I think it'd be really funny if we ran a podcast, do like he was saying live, people ask questions or whatever. But like we're all fucked up on some different substances of some kind. Like you're ecstasy, he's kratom, he's weed, I'm fucking alcohol, he's shrooms, and we're all just like,
That would be
fuck,
fun.
we're here. Oh shit.
No, I quit kratom.
I know.
Well, you
Just
can be
some coke.
cocaine.
Yeah.
I can do what?
Cocaine.
You can do
Cocaine.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if we want him cocaine. Never on the mic.
Yeah.
Like this. And I'll be able to read something like this the whole time. Looking at it like this. It's like,
Oh shit.
Yeah.
I'm just like wandering off.
I'm just like,
No, you remember that supplement I was making that
Yeah,
made you
yeah.
feel good? You know, that tianeptine sodium?
That sounded awesome.
That was fucking awesome, right?
Wait, you made a supplement?
Yeah. And it was
What was it made of?
the main ingredient was tianeptine sodium, and which is
Hold on. You should talk about it right now.
Okay.
oh, I don't
Yeah, let's know.
Do the introduction then.
Hey, welcome everybody to another episode of Paradise Pump. Yeah, we got the whole crew's here today. 3 J's, 2 M's.
Triple J.
We're all here. Triple J, double M. We're all here. And today we're talking about
Drugs.
drugs and other things. Talking about stimulants, things like that. So
Drugs and stimulants.
Jeff was
Right
already-
on.
Yeah, Jeff was talking about some things.
Oh, I was talking about back in the day. I don't know. Why did I stop? I don't know why I stopped. Because everybody wanted it.
Yeah.
Like,
They were good.
yeah. So I made a supplement because I was putting some ingredients together. The main ingredient was tianeptine sodium. It's a how do I describe this compound? It gives you an opioid-like effect. It binds to the mu and delta opioid receptor, but it's not an opioid where you don't get any of the opioid side effects, if that makes sense. But it gives you the feeling of being on like a really strong Oxycontin, but it gave you no pain, discomfort though,
No.
so it was just like the dopamine rush, but it made you so social. Like you just,
Yeah.
you don't want to be alone when you take this drug. Like you need to talk to somebody and you need to just talk about stuff. You're
So
just
was there like a
passionate stuff,
down
like-
from it afterwards, or you just go back to like normal?
No, but you just like, because I tried it. Like, I think there wasn't like a down effect, but you definitely kind of like, I think it'd be addictive in the sense of like you miss it. Like,
Yeah,
you
you
don't
do.
take it.
yeah.
You know?
So
Like-
that's kind of addictive.
It's, I mean, yeah, there's going to be an addiction if you have like, especially if you have like more of an addictive personality, but
If you have a fear of public speaking, instantly wiped.
What?
I'm not kidding.
oh yeah.
Instantly.
Dude, you know how many people have that fear? You can
Yeah,
sell
well,
it.
here's the thing. So one of the main reasons was sourcing that compound because they actually made it not legal in the United States.
Okay.
It's still legal in Canada. In fact, Canada uses it as an antidepressant.
Mm.
But I was combining it with teacrine and God, I wish I could remember. But it was like
Did
to
you have
prolong it.
Did you have the L-theanine in there too?
Huh? Yeah, L-theanine. Yep,
yeah.
you're right. Yep. And I was just sourcing the raws, and then I even have like the little pill filler things, where and my little powder. Such a drug addict.
It's like a roadside pharmaceutical.
Yeah,
kind
it was
of,
just
yeah.
like, but it was
Okay.
like,
I think I did it one. I think you gave it to me one time.
yeah, I think I gave
But
it.
it made me. Well,
You're
not
weird.
you-
Nothing
you-
works
yeah,
good with you.
yeah.
Like,
everything like
Gives you
that
anxiety.
Makes not anxiety.
oh.
It makes me feel sleepy.
oh, yeah,
All those stuff that you're
Yeah.
like, even kratom. I couldn't. Like I had to lay down.
Mm.
My body is weird. And then caffeine has a great effect on me too. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
and
that-
partially why it was like, because I was like giving them away, like,
Yeah, I remember you had a bunch of.
yeah. So I mean, the phone calls that were coming in, like, because I gave a bunch to everyone. Oh, I gotta have more. I'm like,
No, you're
Man,
the
and
dope
it-
man.
and it wasn't,
The dope man.
but it
dope
wasn't
man.
easy to make, like, because I didn't have a production, right? I just had those little.
Was it
Like
cheap?
my little pill thing was like 30 little slots. It's pretty cheap.
cheap.
Yeah, like that's why I was giving them away, so it wasn't
I remember
expensive.
you gave me some, and I think I took I think I took way more than I was supposed to because
Oh,
I
yeah.
misread what you texted or something.
Uh-huh.
And I was driving down the road. I just ate and I had to pull over. I was pulled over
You got sick.
in this,
Yeah.
this it was where Panda Express and all those places in that housing area, that
Mhm.
Navy housing area. So I just left the commissary. It's all these people like eating their food and Panda watched me throw up in the parking lot. So I'm just like I gotta it's all over the place.
Oh,
And
wow.
I remember I texted you, I was like, man, I feel better now. I'm good. I
Yeah.
got in the car, I was fine.
Yeah, because then you had the, like, the, you
That
know,
was
you-
good after
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So you're like, don't order the orange chicken, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to look into that. That stuff was really
So,
good, man.
2 questions on that. Why did you make it, and what adverse reactions?
I didn't feel, I mean, I didn't do enough like anecdotal stuff.
Yeah, people got sick. I remember.
Yeah, I think so.
Some well, not sick, meaning they would get through it.
They would get nauseous or like,
nauseous. There was a few people.
but then I think we also learned not to take it on an empty stomach,
Well, that
you know? So yeah. And then other than that, I never got any
I
adverse
didn't have any negatives.
So there was no crash after, so, like,
No,
after you get your high,
no.
there's no
because it's not a stimulant. It's like it was literally like,
you could take a lot.
it was like a dopamine dump without the stimulants, you know, like,
without the dump.
yeah, it's a nice, like, but a dopamine dump in the synapses gap, right? So like you're instantly
So-
feeling just rewarded and like,
Kinda,
confident, very
is it
confident.
like a Molly effect, like that. Like
Yes,
an
yes.
MDMA type of effect.
it is, but you're more like, you're more focused, right? You don't feel
Yeah.
any kind of
Oh,
high,
I see.
you know, you're just like,
You just
Yeah.
zoning in.
yeah.
I feel like especially if you're like, kind of more like already kind of hyper focused on a subject of
Mhm.
some kind. It's like it enhanced that.
It does. Yeah.
But you were like, because like too much of anything, kind of right. Like if you're into something, even if you love it, it's like if you do it for too long, you kind of get like burnt out, and it's sort of like just like wipe.
I'll
that
tell you,
part of it out.
Man,
Yeah, I'll
I
tell you,
feel
if
like
you
I
want to
missed
sell
out.
something, if like you need to sell your car or something,
Right.
you can almost sell anything to anybody.
Oh yeah,
Like, you know, I'm like, you really like, you become just this communicator, you know?
yeah. You could like sell the air to
Yeah.
human being,
Jeffrey,
like,
make
if he
this. I
breathes
need to
over
try
you.
know.
it. I need to try it.
Sell it.
I actually will look at, yeah, I'll pull my notes and, you know, this is when I was playing with all kinds of nootropics, you know, it's like,
What do you think about New Pept?
huh?
What do you think about New Pept?
I liked it, you know, but it didn't give me enough of effect.
How much did you do? I used to do about 40 milligrams.
I think I was doing about the same, but it was just like at that time that I was experimenting with New Pep, I've never tried Adderall.
Yeah.
And then when I tried Adderall, I'm like, oh,
Oh
okay,
yeah.
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 it was like, oh, yeah, it was night and day. Or actually, even before I tried Adderall, I tried what's it, monoxid? What was the
Yeah, Meloxicil.
minoxidil, right?
Yeah,
Is that
yeah.
what it was? Minoxidil?
No,
Minoxidil.
minoxidil is the hair thing.
No,
Oh,
yeah,
you're
you're
right.
right.
Minoxidil for
What is it? I can't.
You talking about the Provigil generic?
Yeah.
No, the one that they used to give the pilots, the amphetamine that they used to give the pilots in
Yeah, to
all the
stay
way up
awake so
into
they
the
can
military.
fly. Yeah,
I can't
I know what
remember
you're
the
talking
name
about.
of the. It sounds
I know what
something
you're
like
talking about.
yeah.
If it's like kind of like the Adderall alternative, then Meloxicil is the.
It is
That was it,
minoxidil,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Minoxidil.
So there's
Yeah.
minoxidil, and the hair thing is minoxidil.
Yeah, right. Minoxidil. But yeah,
What about like Adafil? Provigil.
Modafinil.
that's the one.
Yeah.
Modafinil.
Yeah,
Provigil.
Yeah,
Provigil,
modafinil.
Yeah,
That was
that,
it.
Right.
it lasts.
That's
It lasts.
the one.
I guess.
Yeah,
It lasts
Oh,
like
messed up.
what, 12 hours, right?
yeah.
It's weird. It's not.
It's
It,
not as
it
good as
doesn't have the
Adderall.
kick as Adderall.
No, it doesn't.
Like,
It doesn't.
But it
it's
does,
not- it's
like,
not a
keep you up.
stimulant, though.
yeah,
That's-
you can if you get started on what you're supposed to do, it'll push it through it, but it doesn't have the kick at
Yeah.
It
all.
doesn't have a stimulant effect.
Well, it's
No,
it's
it-
not a stimulant drug.
Right.
It still does like the increase in dopamine sensitivity. I think it focuses more on the dopamine sensitivity, I believe, on the receptor versus like cranking out more dopamine. So like designed originally right for like people with ADHD. That's the whole thing is like you have a dopamine insensitivity, so you have to constantly be doing something different to like get the hit, and that's sort of like the downfall of ADHD. But with that, they were basically trying to create the same effect, but without the the other kind of like physical side effects that can happen right from having something like Adderall, Ritalin, or even some doctors will like prescribe like Wellbutrin first because it has like amphetamine metabolites after being processed by the liver. but the thing is like amphetamines obviously work, but they're addictive. It's like one of the most highly addictive things you could even think of, right? Like an amphetamine salt versus like methamphetamine, not significantly different.
No.
So they're very addictive.
Very addictive because they work so damn well.
So continue on with the substance that you created.
Sorry, I didn't mean to want to take.
Yeah, I created,
I
and
like
it was fairly
tangents.
cheap to make, and it was like something I was experimenting with. And then I was like, I feel great on it, so I was like, hey, I'm just going to give it away to whoever wants to try it.
You felt that great. Hey guys.
Yeah, and then it was just like, man, the phone calls like, you got more? I need more. You got more? And I'm like, oh shit, this is addictive. And
Mm.
I'm like, yeah, I can't be. I had a lawyer. Yeah, he was this like criminal lawyer from Kailua that would like drive all the way onto the other side of town to meet me to get some of this stuff. And I
He
was
is a
just like,
dope
and he
man.
wouldn't go to court without it. Like he's just like, oh my God, I got
Oh,
this big case I got to
he's
litigate.
zoned in, huh?
You know, and I, of course, I'm thinking, okay, this is an important guy. Like I don't have any more. Now I got to go make some
But like,
just so this guy can go to court. And
I
I'm
was
like,
like,
what am
can
I
you
doing?
imagine? Can you
Like,
imagine though? Like your charisma's gotta be like through the roof at that point. Like you could convince any jury of anything.
yeah, that's what I
Like,
mean. It's like,
Well, you gotta hire that one.
Sell ice to an Eskimo.
yeah, you're like, hey, Your Honor, this guy is innocent. I know he murdered 3 people, and stole a car, but I promise you, he's a good man.
I'll tell you what, if you could find I don't know all the laws or anything, but you can find a country to sell this in, it would sell like, if you could sell it here, it would just, oh my God, you would make so
Should
much
we start
money.
like the
You would get
IHF
so rich
cartel?
so
Like that.
fast.
Nobody has a product like that.
You should talk to Brad. Like I told
Oh,
you,
yeah,
his
yeah.
people knows a compounding agency. So.
Yeah. Well, I know that compound is no longer on the legal list.
Well, I
Oh,
don't know.
really?
They could
Yeah.
probably get something
Yeah.
because
Because that happened at the end when I was making it, because I would be able to source it locally here.
Oh,
Not locally on island, but I mean like in the United States. And then it was like, oh, no, I can't get it in the United States anymore. And I was just getting it from Canada. But then you got to do the airmail thing and all that, it's like,
yeah.
and that
Customs.
takes like a month,
That's crazy.
Yeah. So
Uh,
it's like, who knows? We'll see what happens.
Has anybody else ever gotten a letter from customs?
besides
No,
Mark,
no comment.
I never got the
Oh,
letter.
you know,
I
got
never
the
got
letter.
the letter.
Oh.
They just
He's got the
showed
knock
up.
on
just
the
showed
door.
They just slipped all that. They wanted me.
I was a freshman in college, and I tried to make an order online from Allen, if you guys know what I'm talking about. Allen shop.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
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 Uh,
That was popular back in the early 2000s.
freshman in college, and I get this like 10-page letter in the mail from United States Customs and Border Control, and it has like description and pictures of everything that I bought.
You
And it was
got
like,
pictures?
yeah, and they're like, hey, if this is yours, just come down with your prescription slip from your doctor, and you can claim it. And I'm like, oh hell no.
John. So did you
Well,
have a name
drugs.
for
We're
that
gonna take
thing
enough
that you
stimulants.
created?
Remember.
Actually, I think I did at one point name it, but I don't remember what I named it.
Happy pills.
I did, right? I think so. Yeah, maybe Happy Pills.
So it wasn't quite a nootropic, or
It was.
it was a
Yeah.
nootropic, or like a BDNF.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting because I did have an MAO inhibitor in there too to enhance it. Which one? I don't remember. I have to look at my notes because I was playing with a lot of different formulations to where I came upon the one that I was like, this is the one. It extended it, had a nice
Yeah.
length. It wasn't too overwhelming. That was another thing. How much do I put in? And I think I fell on 100 milligrams of tianeptine sodium. It wouldn't matter to anybody who doesn't know the compound, but it took me a while and a lot of handing them out for free, saying and getting feedback from everybody.
Samples.
And then,
Sample.
but I think I literally stopped it because of all the phone calls coming in, and it was just like, I'm like, oh, I'm not going to put out something that's so addictive,
Yeah.
because that's okay. My dream of getting rich off of that got crushed.
Yeah, you have morals.
Yeah, I have morals. Yeah, I'm not gonna. In fact, I regret telling people about Kratom because it started consuming my life to where it was ruining it,
Yeah.
and then, and when I got off of it, I'm like, that's the best thing I ever done. And I'm like, shit, I talked this person into it, this person into it, this person into it, because I thought it was the greatest thing.
How did Kratom ruin your life?
It's addictive. It's extremely addictive.
It's highly
you
I
addictive.
don't
definitely-
know.
yeah,
I
yeah,
tried
you
out. I'm
Kratom.
like, fuck, this is like
It's
dirt. I don't know if I
Yeah.
like this thing.
well, it's like
You know what?
You get past that part of it,
Well, the powders,
and
the powders are one thing. When they started coming out with the
shots,
extracts,
the little shots. Yeah,
and they were
I
just
did
like,
one of those, and I was in the bed all day. Messed me up.
Yeah. I remember that because I gave it
Remember
to you.
that?
Yeah, that's
I was so mad at you.
yeah,
Like, dude, my day's done. Like, it completely, my
Yeah.
whole day was gone. Yeah,
yeah,
couldn't do nothing.
yeah. It's like once you get those little shots, like
Yeah.
like the higher percentage extract of like the 7-hydroxy, blah 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 blah
Right.
blah. Right. It's like, holy shit. Okay, the powder doesn't do it. The pills
And
don't
that's-
do it.
That's 7-hydroxymetagyna,
Yeah.
which is like a compound because metagyna speciosus is the actual like effective compound that's in kratom, or kratom is the proper way because it comes out of like Thailand and Indonesia.
Yeah.
But and they've been using it for centuries to get
Yes.
people off of opium,
Mm-hmm.
and it was very effective in that sense.
Well, and like also to like Muay Thai fighters and stuff too,
Right.
Using it to like fight the pain because these
Yeah,
guys are over here
exactly.
kicking trees and
Oh.
punching the hoods of cars like just constantly. It's, you have a lot of pain.
But that 7-hydroxymetagyna milligram for milligram is way more powerful than heroin. So like that's a
Yeah.
strong.
Well, do you
Opioid.
think that obviously like everybody gets affected differently?
Of course.
Do you think that, so like me, for instance, like I feel like those type of chemicals, like I just can't take them, like
Yeah.
because it's just,
No, there's
unless
a whole,
I'll just take it and I'll feel like crap. It doesn't do. I don't get the effect that everyone's saying.
there's
that
a
they're
there's a
getting.
there's a I don't know, remember what the percentage of the population is. They don't
Yeah.
get affected by any opioids.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and there's actually a procedure now, and who's that act or that singer who got it? She was I can't think of her name right now. It's really popular singer in the early 2000s, and she got really addicted to heroin.
Okay.
And you can get like
Whitney
a
Houston?
procedure that basically where
Britney
no
Spears?
opioid will bind to any of your opioid receptors.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
yeah,
So a lot of there's people who have that.
Yeah.
Like, they won't buy it. So maybe I have that
yeah. No, I mean there's a whole
because I don't feel any of it.
Yeah, there's a whole percentage. Like if you give like morphine to a
Yeah.
patient, they're like they get no pain.
They won't.
Nope, doesn't do anything.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so it's everyone's genetics a little bit
Yeah,
different.
yeah, yeah. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Well,
you can't
wow.
expect one thing to work for everybody. That's
Yeah.
for darn sure. But it was
Well,
yeah, so that's why I quit that particular one.
Well, I think like you're kind of onto something as far as like what genetically some people are affected more or less by certain things. I think we were talking about like was the pharmacokinetic like genetics testing, right?
Right.
And-
Right. Yeah. It shows what enzymes like, because what if you produce like a ton of that manganese oxidase or the
Yeah,
MAO,
Yeah.
right? And it's just like if if you produce like a ton of that, basically you're going to have a different effect. Or somebody who
Mhm.
like esterifies, estrogen from testosterone. Like there's genetic tests where you can test like and your cytochrome P450 enzymes, like which is how you process almost all like
Yeah.
oral drugs.
I'd be like kind of curious, at least like for myself, because like weed and I do not get along like at all. It's like a complete negative experience. Like,
Interesting.
very, very bad. But most people are like, dude, it makes you chill, you feel like
Mm.
just more relaxed, or depending on like the strand or whatever.
So what
right?
kind of effects would you get from
Oh, like
weed?
kind of like this outer body anxiety, like where I don't feel like I can control it. Like just a major anxiety, which like I understand like with stuff like that, right? It's a kind of like your mindset going into it. Like shrooms are like a good example, right? Where it's like, hey, if you're like in a really negative headspace and like you're just angry and surrounded by like negativity, like you're gonna have probably a very bad experience. But like with weed, like I've tried it like in like happy, you know, environments where I'm just hanging out with cool people and having a good time, and then just like all of a sudden just dive deep into this like, oh fuck, like I just like start to close up and don't want to be around anybody, and I just like, you know, and I'm conscious enough that I'm like, I know I need to like separate myself from people, because otherwise, like, I think I would just kind of like snap or like lose my shit. It's like,
Interesting.
Wow, that's kind of nuts, dude.
And no matter what
But
strain you
you
use.
do a ton
well,
of caffeine.
I was like,
That's
I
crazy.
can drink 3 grams of
Right.
whatever caffeine every
Caffeine
day.
every day, no problem.
Like,
Yeah, it's
pretty
crazy.
good. Like blood pressure's good, heart rate's good, you know.
Well,
So
caffeine is very unique because your body down regulates from it very
Right.
quickly.
yeah,
You know, unlike the amphetamines, like, you know, where it's like, I think we went over this in a
I think
old
the
podcast, right?
yeah.
Caffeine, because caffeine is,
Well, we started talking about the adenosine.
yeah, right, yeah,
Yeah.
because caffeine is not a stimulant,
Right.
actually, you know,
It's
it's like, yeah,
it's that adenosine receptor block.
yeah, right, yeah, because caffeine 1,3,7 trimethylxanthine is the molecular nomenclature for caffeine, and it's an adenosine receptor agonist. So adenosine is part of your GABA cycle. You know, you got the two nervous systems, sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. Sympathetic is the fight or flight. Parasympathetic is the rest, digest, repair, basically.
Basically, like the involuntary and kind
Yeah.
of voluntary. Yeah.
And then if you break that down into like the two large catecholamines, right? It's like the glutamate, which is the sympathetic, you know, the stimulates where you have cortisol, norepinephrine, adrenaline.
Right.
And then the GABA, which where you have, you know, GABA, adenosine, melatonin, like all your downers basically. And the way caffeine works, it's a powerful, it has a strong binding affinity to the adenosine receptor. And so when the adenosine receptors are saturated with this caffeine molecule, then all this free floating adenosine that's in your body, which is a downer, you know, your body looks at that and regulates and says, wow, there's a lot of adenosine. We need to bring the stimulants up. And so your body produces its adrenaline and norepinephrine. And that's the stimulation that you're feeling from caffeine. And your body will adapt to that by making new docking stations. So basically new receptors. And that's why it happens so quickly. Unlike amphetamine, where you're instantly getting hit with a high, it doesn't have to go through that process where your body's own endogenous catecholamines are making that stimulus. So with caffeine, you have to come off of it for a while to let those receptors like basically atrophy, you know, and balance your body out.
Yeah, I actually listened to a podcast a few weeks ago, kind of talking about this subject and sort of like taking that. We talked about it the last time, but you know, taking that first like 30 to 60 minutes every day, you know, like where you're not drinking caffeine immediately or intaking you know, caffeine, just because you're like you still have so much like of the adenosine or whatever like floating around in your system. But talked about the like the detox from caffeine can take up to 122 days.
Oh, wow.
That's a long
100,
time.
yeah, that's a long
Could you
time.
imagine the people who are drinking caffeine, energy drinks, and all of that a day? So yeah, like how long it'll take for your receptors to atrophy? It'll take a little bit more than 120 days.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, Jody.
Stay off the caffeine, kids.
But I will say, like there's days I don't actually drink any caffeine.
What?
People will be surprised.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
And like, you know, if I'm to like stay away from caffeine or go like significantly lower, like maybe just like one, you know, 20-ounce Diet Mountain Dew or something where I'm getting like less than 80 milligrams through the whole entire day. By like a day or two after, I drink a Monster and I'm like, whoa, holy shit. Like, okay, the caffeine does work. But
Oh, wow.
it's like within the
That's pretty
next day,
fast.
I can start drinking. I could drink like 8 of them and be fine.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, the same for pre-workout as well, too, right? They
Oh,
tell
yeah.
you to like cycle on and off or
Yep.
whatever.
Yep.
So
And there's a time for pre-workout stimulants. Like if you work all day long and your time going to the gym, I can understand it then. It's really not the best idea to use a stimulant prior to pre-workout.
Yeah.
You know, it's
especially-
vasoconstricting,
Right, exactly.
right? When you want
yeah,
vasodilation,
vasodilating.
you know, So it's just like, but
People want to be hyped up, you know.
right.
they
That
want-
was
But
like
you will get a better workout if you're
Yeah.
going in there just dragging ass. You know,
yeah.
it's kind of like my theory on alcohol. Like alcohol is straight poison, regardless. But the only health benefit to alcohol is if you're under a lot of psychological stress and you're using alcohol to break some of that stress, that psychological stress is doing more damage to your body than that
Mhm.
alcohol is. Granted that you're like, I'm saying in alcohol as in not getting drunk and getting shit faced, you know, but
Having a
just,
couple glasses.
yeah, just having a couple
Yeah.
glasses to bring
Yeah.
down because, you know, whatever your stress is, marital or work or whatever. But other than that, it's like your body's it's poison.
Yeah.
I mean, even with that, we talked about before, like the whole sleep thing, using alcohol or any type of substance, you're not going to actually go through the proper REM cycles or circadian rhythm
That's
for
right.
in order for you to get the proper recovery when you're trying to build muscle here in the gym.
Yeah. You know what I learned from alcohol, which I don't drink nearly at all anymore. My whole alcohol consumption for the last, I want to say almost 10 years has been maybe a couple glasses of wine all year. Just like one at New Year's or Christmas or something like that. It just doesn't agree with me anymore. Um, since I turned 45, I'd say. But
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it was weird. Sometimes when I drink alcohol, and maybe it could be because I'm tired, it's at nighttime, but I'll drink and then it'll almost give me like this effect of like I took caffeine.
well, see,
yeah, see
that's
that
where I was
you're-
going.
Your heart palpitates.
You and I would be the same. In
Well,
that
see, this
sense
is where I was
Yeah.
going. Like alcohol would put me down quick. So I was even when I was younger and I was drinking alcohol, like I didn't get nuts and like I wanted to continue partying. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I want to go to sleep.
Yeah.
Right. It just instantly like brought me down. And if I thought when I wasn't getting great sleep, it was like,
Yeah.
oh, I'll just have a glass or a couple of beers before going to bed or with dinner or something like that. And it would like put you down in the middle of the night. I would be up with a massive cortisol dump, like, okay, like I look at the clock and damn, it's 4 hours till I have to get up to go to work. Or like I wish I felt like this
Yeah.
at 6 a.m. when I have to go to work,
Yeah.
you know, and that was just a big pain in the ass,
Yeah.
you know. Like,
Uh,
so
that's
wasn't
crazy.
using that for sleep anymore.
I had a period of time where I had a very unhealthy relationship with alcohol, where like I could literally drink like 2 bottles of wine, a 12 pack, and like a fifth of vodka.
That's
and-
insane.
And grab like 2 Mike's Harders
Who does this?
and then go to sleep. And I did that for like a year and a half straight, and nobody fucking knew.
Who
you know,
does
no.
that? Jeff, that's
But
crazy.
it was the similar thing, and like what I had to learn.
You know,
later
so much
on,
so I didn't even know you drank at all until I saw you at that Christmas
the
party.
Christmas thing.
I was like, wait, you're drinking?
Yeah, yeah. I know it's surprised a lot of people, and it was like, I mean, obviously very counterproductive and against everything that like I kind of have to stand for, especially as a trainer, right? But I, it sucks, and it wasn't good.
It's
but
addicting
like,
too.
It's I do say like the silver lining is like I can relate to a lot more people because of that time period, because I used to think anyone who had like an addiction problem was just a weak piece of shit, just like didn't understand it. I'd be like, what, why? Just stop. Fucking don't do it anymore. And now I get it. I get it. It's fucking hard. It's like hard. And so you see that with like I watched my mom still trying to quit smoking. She was smoking since she was 14. And she's 65 now. She's been smoking. She used to smoke 3 packs of cigarettes every day when I was growing up. And like she still smokes a lot, but she tries to quit and then she backslides, and it's hard. But side note,
Yeah.
some studies, like there's studies out there that show that anyone that gets like a stimulant effect from alcohol
Mhm.
has a higher addiction rate to it because of it.
Oh, to
Because you're getting that dopamine, whereas most people get like a more of a serotonin reaction from the brain from
Yeah.
alcohol.
Mm.
So you actually get like a reward system coming into you're like, oh wow, like I could literally be at home having nothing to do and feel great,
Hmm. Yeah.
So
Interesting.
it makes it harder.
But don't blame your grandma so much because the tobacco industry spent billions of dollars making it addictive.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And when finally the federal government came down on them, those same tobacco companies became the two largest food companies. And the same engineers that made all that stuff, the tobacco super addictive,
Or now in the food industry.
they put billions of dollars in making this garbage processed food addictive.
Perfect.
And made the food pyramid upside down
Yeah.
on purpose.
Yep, on purpose. Yep.
It's
And it
when he was
ruins
saying
so
that, it
many
sounds like you're
lives.
like you know about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It ruins
Yeah.
so many. Yeah, upside down is exactly the way. Yeah, it ruins so many lives. I mean, we're at like a 50% obesity rate.
Yeah,
That's
isn't that
insane.
crazy?
Yeah.
It's as
In
Well,
high
what
as
are they
America?
using for this
divorce
obesity
rate.
rate, though? To be honest, if they're using
in
BMI,
US.
No, I know.
it's
Yeah.
a fucking joke.
Yeah. No, the BMI is absolutely a joke.
Yeah.
I agree because I'm obese on the BMI.
Yeah, I have like
Yeah.
a BMI of like
Well,
32,
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
which makes me
Well,
like stage
They-
1
yeah.
obese.
Yeah, yeah.
You guys might be obese on the BMI, but I'm a beast on the
Yeah,
BMI
beast.
You're a
shit.
beast.
I'm definitely a beast
You're a
on that
beast on the
shit.
BMI.
But then I don't know if they're using it for the mass data recording, but they
Yeah.
did alter the BMI to, you had 3 body types,
Oh, okay.
where they have an athletic body type.
Endo, ecto, and
Yeah, yeah.
mesomorph.
And then
Yep.
they were doing kind of a BMI versus
Mhm.
off of that, so it was taken account, but I don't know if that's in the same,
Yeah, I definitely know
it
they
wasn't
don't
when I
use that
did
in
my
the-
life insurance.
Yeah, but it's definitely not like that in the regular healthcare system because I go to the doctor probably lately it's been a little more often, but probably at least every like 3 to 4 months, kind of do like a little check-in, check up with the doctor, and they always check the weight, and then they print out my stuff afterwards, and I always see it, and it's like, like 32 is my BMI, and I'm like, how? Like
They say it. They'll tell you it's
they always
32.
put
Really.
the BMI on there on my
Wow.
charts, always on
But if
there.
you look at it as well too, if you're talking about scales and measurements from the early 40s, 50s, 60s, even into the 70s, those parameters were way different, even to include testosterone levels, like how you and I were talking about, Mark. So now, like the regular what testosterone level was normal back in the 70s in comparison to now, it's like
You don't even
200,
have to go back to the
200
70s.
notches down.
20 years ago, the testosterone levels of the average 20-year-old is what, is,
Higher.
yeah, it was
Yeah.
way
Was
higher,
higher.
like the
Seven-
20-year-old
in the
today
700s,
has the
800s.
testosterone level of a 60-year-old.
Yeah, in
Well,
the 2
that's
and
the average.
300s,
Yeah,
that's the
Wow,
that's the
average.
crazy.
average.
But
And that's just in a 20-year period.
I feel like my age group, when I got to high school, it was like all the seniors were grown ass men. Like all the seniors had like beards growing, like they got their full frame, like wide shoulders, like looking good and like looking like grown ass men. But like
Look
now you go see seniors in high school and you're like
Soy boys.
soft.
But look at,
Soy
but, and then look at the other spectrum of that, right? Look at the women.
Yeah,
Like
we were
they
actually
have
touching on this
like
subject last week.
full breast development at like
Yeah,
13.
it's weird how it's opposite, right?
And they're
Like, the
having their
men-
periods at like 12.
It's the estrogen
The
that
men
they're
don't
putting
look
in
as
the
mature,
food,
and the
water,
women look very
air.
mature,
Yeah.
right?
That's
Yeah.
why
Like
frogs
the
are coming
girls
out
at
kind of
14 years
funny
old.
too, right?
Yeah.
Look like they're 20 years old.
Yeah, I know.
I've seen literally like 14-year-old like freshmen in
Fully
high school girls,
developed.
and you're like, that's freshmen, and they look like they're 21 years old.
And then you
Yeah.
have to stop looking at me like
Yep.
she's a child.
No, it's just like
Age.
it's like 20. Like what? Like just the body, It's like like you said, it's fully developed. I can just they're done growing.
And you know what's
That's it.
crazy? It's
At
like we
14.
know all the poisons in our food, and yet somehow we just can't seem to get them removed, right? It's
Weren't
like
we, talking about this.
hopefully RFK changes.
We did
Yeah,
talk about
hopefully
food.
RFK will
We
change
talked
all
about
of
food
that,
before,
man, and get back into the health thing as
That
well
would be
too.
amazing.
So speaking on substance and stuff and the addiction of it, same goes for like steroids because you
Without a
see the
doubt.
return on investments by the use of steroids, and then that part becomes addictive because we're trying to chase this high, chase this body form, and so on and so forth. So what's the fine line from becoming using it as far as enhancing as an athlete versus just you're a fucking druggie?
uh,
I wouldn't say
I don't
there's
know if you would
necessarily
ever
a
be called a
fine line.
druggie
Yeah.
using steroids. I don't know.
Shoot steroids
I don't
and
know. I mean, I
lay
don't
on
know
your
if that's a
couch.
term that I would use for somebody that uses steroids, a druggie. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
there are
Like,
very few steroids, right? That like because it's dealing with hormones, like where you're gonna get this instantaneous effect. Like you don't like do a shot and then immediately you get the
Right.
dopamine rush. And you're like, oh my
Yeah.
god, that was so good.
No, but
Like,
I don't think she's
Yeah.
not. I don't. I don't
Well,
think
she's saying
she's not referring to an
you're just
internal like
taking it.
chemical effect.
You're
It's
taking
more
it
of a
because you
of
want
a
to.
Physiological
societal
return on
Yeah.
investment right
Psychology.
or
there.
the societal effect where everyone's like, man, you look amazing. The one thing that caught me was orthorexia, the
Hmm.
addiction to eating clean. It was an
Yeah,
obsession.
you were weird with that
I
shit,
was,
dude.
like, but
I never
then,
could understand that.
That's
but
what made him such a great competitor,
Yeah.
though, because you are
yeah,
so
Yeah,
like
he was
diligent on.
us.
I was
Yeah.
yeah,
excited because he went to McDonald's with me one day and he ate the food, and I was like,
Yeah, no, he's because I think at one point I remember you were like, "Oh, I haven't had McDonald's in 15 years," and I was like, "What?"
it
And you're
wasn't
like,
that long,
"No."
but it was long.
Wait,
Yeah,
no, you said something. Like, it
yeah,
was long.
it was long.
It was long. Actually, you didn't. It wasn't even McDonald's. You said you didn't have fast food
I didn't have any
in
fast
like
food for
whatever
years.
10 years. It was a
Yeah,
long time.
yeah,
Fast food,
right.
and I was like, "Nothing," and you're like,
Nothing,
"None."
none.
I was blown away. Like,
Yeah,
not even
I
freaking
was
Taco
like, there
Bell. I
was
was
a
like,
like I'm Italian,
like
right?
who
And there
does
was just
that?
like there was a period, but I never touched pizza for more than like 4 or 5 years. Not even a bite.
That's crazy, man.
No
Like,
ice cream, no
not even
candy.
post show. Like,
It was like no.
like, nope. Just
But I always ate into my show. So like post show, I never pigged out, except for the very first time
yeah,
because
but
I over
I
dieted.
get it.
But like all the other times, I'm just like,
But don't you like you crave some of that stuff?
no,
You might not be that hungry, but you kind of I mean, for me anyway, I like a lot of that salts and those sugars to after
yeah.
the show's done. Like I'm kind of wanting that stuff.
Well, like I did, but I never cut. Like my sodium was really high going into a show.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is
so
should
like
be.
my
A lot
water.
of people
Yeah,
think the old school part, like, oh,
yeah,
you got to cut out salt, like that's so old school.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like so, yeah. I was like, as I was increasing the water intake, I was always increasing the salt
Yeah.
intake. And I'm a sweater, like we know that. Like I sweat like crazy, so like I have to like all my
You're bad.
water bottles have electrolyte in them because and I'm sweating all day long at work because I'm very active in what I do. But where it becomes a problem, because think about this. What exactly does that mean, eating clean? Like,
yeah.
what does eating clean to you mean?
Or like,
Oh,
or what about eating healthy? When people say, "I eat healthy,"
Well,
or eating
it's all
clean,
along that same line,
right?
right? So
right.
it's
Yeah,
just like, okay, is that like to me, it was I was eating all whole foods, but that
right.
doesn't necessarily mean it's
It's
clean,
healthy.
right?
Clean.
So,
No,
because then you go from, okay, I'm eating a whole food diet, which is great, way better, 1,000 times better than the standard American diet of processed garbage,
Right.
right? And then it went to, well, where's my whole food being sourced from, right?
Right.
How is there antibiotics in it? Is there all this other
are
shit
they
in it?
free range or are
Yeah,
they?
right. And
Yeah.
so then you start going down that thing, and I'm like, well, I can't have this. I gotta found myself shopping at Whole Foods, like spending $1 million on stuff, and I'm just like,
They were the only place that had fair priced eggs. It was like $3
is
and
that
some
right?
change. They had the best deals on quite a bit of stuff. Like I could go Sam's Club and they didn't have like the 5 dozen boxes anymore. They only had like the 18 packs.
Mm.
And like the 18 pack was like $13. And I'm just like, what the hell's going on? And like Safeway was like $11.99. And then I go to Whole Foods and it's like $3.29, for like 12 like organic cage-free brown eggs. And you're like, what the hell? Like, why are they so much cheaper for the like better quality stuff?
Yeah, that's
To
wow.
be fair.
Yeah, interesting. Well, then it went even further. Then it was just like, I'd go to the fruit aisle, and then you start learning about the fruit, and you're like, oh my God, really all this fruit is GMO,
Appeal. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's GMO to produce more sugar,
Yeah.
like more fructose,
Oh,
and
yeah?
yeah,
Oh,
a lot of it is,
Carrots are
because
orange.
that law didn't pass. I remember it being on the legislator here in Hawaii that you had to mark the food as being
That's
GMO
GMO.
if it was selling, but it didn't pass. So like nearly all those apples you see in there, they're all like been genetically modified to produce more sugar.
All the
Really?
ones
Yeah.
in Costco too.
Yeah.
So that's
So-
like, honestly, that's like,
And
like
then
a lot
I'm
of
like,
mangoes as well.
Then you start learning that, and then they're like, well, that's not clean. Really, it's 1 million times cleaner than like eating McDonald's, right? But it's
Yeah.
like it becomes not enough. And then I don't know, one day I think I just snapped out of it. And I'm like, what like it's good to have it, honestly. Like it's not you can get obsessed with it. You just have to take
Mhm.
it in like
Yeah.
I mean, but you absolutely could make better, healthier food choices, whether it be freaking GMO fruits and vegetables from Whole Foods versus McDonald's. I mean,
Yeah.
Why you gonna look at
the
me like
wise
that?
decision would be your fucking GMO food, right?
But just to
100%.
be fair, not all GMOs are bad.
No, that's
Like,
right.
so
That's
Not
right.
all are
there's
created
like
equal.
genetically modified, like mangoes are genetically modified, so we can actually eat them because they're closely related to poison ivy. So like if you were to intake that, you're basically like trying to, it's a toxin.
Or like the
You hurt yourself.
bananas, the real bananas, the seeds are actually big and
And
yeah.
some genetically modified foods is just where you're blending two different species together,
Hmm.
Right.
that don't normally
Apple banana.
yeah,
Yeah.
right. And there's nothing wrong with that, Yeah, they're not all bad. And to be honest with you, like we could not feed the population today if we didn't do that.
Yeah.
If we didn't genetically modify, certain food. And you got to ask yourself too, like some foods are genetically modified to resist bugs and bacteria, right?
Yep.
And so far, out of the ones that I read, that's better than the pesticides that are being put on it.
Yeah.
But we're so deceived with that too, right? So we can see like you get this organic food, and organic means it only has to be like 85%, right?
Yeah.
Clean, and then 15% can be like the worst pesticides.
Hmm.
Right. I think
Yeah.
I don't know if you were here when I told people, but also got to be kind of careful on like the integrity of the grocery store you're buying your food from, because I had a friend in college who worked at the grocery store back when he was in high school
Mhm.
and told me that the organic section at their store was just the normal stuff going bad, and they slap a sticker on it and throw in the organic section.
Oh well, that's
normal
bad.
stuff.
That's
Wow.
So
deceptive.
like as a banana starts to like get a little spotty, they're like, oh, organic. Now it costs 50 cents more.
Oh wow,
That's crazy.
yeah, that's really bad. Huh. But it's almost like here's another one. You can become addicted to actually working out when really your body could probably use a rest.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like when I would travel, like or we travel anywhere. We were like, we got to find we can't stay at this amazing place because there's not a gym. We got to have we can't miss a workout. Like God forbid,
Right.
It's just like, yeah, you can.
Yeah.
You're not going to atrophy. It's just like
Yeah.
you don't.
The
Uh,
golden window or
I,
the window
I,
of opportunity,
I
right?
think like even from before before I was competing all the way up until I don't think I've missed more than a week ever, in that whole period, because every vacation we found we had to have a gym somewhere, and it was just
Yeah.
like, but it would probably do our bodies good to take a week or two off.
Take a little break and like you're saying, like addicted to the working out, right? Just like,
Yeah.
taking that break, just like any other addiction. It's like it's gonna help you like to sort of like stop
Well,
being
like how
addicted.
we had the conversation of balance, to incorporate harmony in your life. You guys are on vacation.
Right.
Like in this short little moment of time,
Yep.
when are you ever going to, visit this place and experience it for what it really is? You can know your body, your mind, and everything could still use the break. And on vacation, you're exploring the place. You're going to be walking a lot around anyway. So a lot of people do get into that mind fuck, like, no, I need to lift weights. I need to, yeah,
Yeah.
But it's kind of cool to find gyms too when
yeah,
you're
it is.
traveling.
It is.
Yeah.
Like I like that. I go like, oh, let me try this place, and it's like this little
And
hole
like
in the wall.
it's not like
Yeah, it's
going to
kinda
the
fun.
gym wasn't
Yeah.
like painful for us, like we
No.
love training.
I would always find places just
Yeah.
to go check it
Yeah.
out. And
But it
shoot with
would
people.
I
It was nice.
almost
Yeah.
like the way we were training and as hard as we were, it was such done our body better to just like taking that
Yeah.
2 weeks off.
Yeah,
Should
yeah,
we
sure.
take a commercial break and do a plug for the gym? Like if you're on vacation, come to IHF.
That's
Just
right.
letting you know.
Yeah,
That's yours, Mark.
$20 day pass.
we'll know about it.
This is
Yeah.
the owner. Find this guy.
Come
But
on
yes,
down.
the bodybuilding mentality can become very addictive, and that goes all the way to the steroids too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
More is better. No, it's not. But they
Is
believe
it
it is.
addictive or is it obsessive? I don't know.
Well, is
Uh,
there's
there's a
not,
fine line,
that's a
right?
fine line. Yeah.
But addiction, obsessive, I don't know.
there's not a physiological addiction, like unlike
Well, that's what I mean.
right,
Right. So
like
it's more
there's
obsessive.
not like, oh my God, my body's like in this weird withdrawal thing
Right.
going on, you know.
Yeah. So you're more obsessed. You're
Yeah,
more,
it's an
you're
obsessive.
planting that in your head and you're believing that and you're
Yeah.
making yourself,
It's
this
not
is
a
what I
terrible
want.
thing to become addicted to like that, or
Well, I mean, it's
or
better
clean
than
eating, you
being
know what I mean? It's just like, yeah, but it's so
eating
much
food and
better.
getting
Right,
fat, right?
right.
Like, I mean, yeah,
Could be
okay.
worse. Could be way
Yeah,
worse.
right.
Or drugs, right? Like whatever. I mean,
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like, so we were having this conversation a little bit ago where the use of steroids, it's so taboo, so whatever, it's so people would call it unhealthy or what have you. But then if they have parties to go to and they're like, wait, what, you don't drink? It's like,
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
And they go ahead and
and they
yeah.
start to
yeah,
so
you
like
get
what's the
looked
more
down.
unhealthier pick here,
You just
Well,
have to do your homework when it's steroids, right? Because you have the potential to be putting garbage in you. And
there was a
Yeah.
guy on I was a member on AF board.
mhm.
There was a guy that always put a thing out like saying like, hey, if you want to send me, just pay for the shipping, send it over, I'll tell you if your stuff's legit or not. And
Mm.
that's
Well,
where they were
I,
finding like
yeah, I know there was like a lot of guys. The one good thing about being with the paid side, like you weren't just giving gear away to this guy, you know, it was just like, and he was putting out like this,
the
he would put
real
out the test results. Like he would,
HPLC test
yeah, right.
results.
Yeah. He
yeah.
was like,
But that's
like,
that's what this guy did.
oh,
I'm like
okay.
I'm curious if it's like the same guy.
Oh, I don't know. I don't
So
remember
like
like,
now with technology and the use of information, I know Dave Palumbo has a website you can click on
Oh yeah,
to
you can
get
get
your
it.
test kits,
Yeah.
or like a place Jano Chic, you could turn in your
that was actually Bill Llewellyn who
Bill
was
Llewellyn
putting,
with Jano Chic.
yeah, was putting out the roid test kits
Roid
where,
test,
yeah,
yeah.
it was
Yeah,
a color
yeah, yeah,
coordination thing.
yeah.
Yeah, but the cool thing about what this guy having the full mass spectrometer, you're also testing that it's the dosage that it is.
Yeah, yeah.
That millicur, and then you're testing for like contaminants, for
Purity and
bacteria and
contaminants.
purity.
Yeah.
And there was that's how I got hooked up with the lab that I'm using, because consistently they had the cleanest across the board. I'm not going to name that because like if anybody's curious, contact me directly. I'm not just going to throw it out there. But this stuff was clean. And this also, now this was 10 years ago, mind you, when I was like really into this. But I can tell you something, Primobolan was 90% of it was fake.
Fake,
Yeah,
okay.
That was out there.
absolutely.
Anavar's is like a common
Anavar's
one.
Yeah.
another fake
We'll
one
switch
too,
it out with
right?
like D-ball, which is
Anadrol or
like
D-ball.
like
Yeah.
significant
Well, I think
difference.
Anavar no longer. No, I think it's real now.
Yeah,
No,
That
but
was what
actually they
bit.
stopped
I mean, I
compounding it in
think back
America.
then it was, but now it's cheaper now.
Yeah.
They've lowered it, and
Or then
yeah.
like growth was like
You're talking about 10 years
ACG.
ago. Yeah,
But
Growth,
still, they
yeah, it
stopped
changed.
compounding it. They put it on like the Schedule C less or whatever
Well,
it is.
everything
And
did.
yeah, Anavar. So I
Everything
don't
did.
know. I
They
don't know
Really?
the
Because
well, no,
that was being
they
prescribed like
it was,
a
yes,
lot.
but most recently they put it
Yeah.
well,
on schedule.
everything's on. Yeah, I mean,
And
they
they
like
cycle it
switched
on, they
everything.
cycle it off,
Yeah, they
on the
moved all
schedule.
the
Yeah.
stuff. I mean, they lowered everything now. It used
So
to be
I would
much.
recommend for you women who are using Anavar that are not getting it from a compounding agency, go get it tested because it's so easily to be faked
Sure. Yeah.
and that would be
for
a
you women,
very
especially.
negative experience.
Well, there's a lot of
if you're
women that are
taking
like,
D-ball
Well, I
instead.
could tell you,
they
like the
break
Primo
out.
mostly tested out to be like one of the cheapest steroids to make,
But
which
now
was
it's
like
so
test
expensive.
Pro-
was like test propionate,
Yeah,
right? Test propionate was like you could get 10 grams of raw powder of test propionate for like $200, right?
yeah,
And
yeah.
and that would yield you like at 250 milligrams per milliliter, you could get 55 bottles with 10 grams, you know, for $200, and then sell each of those
Mhm.
bottles for $80 or
Yeah.
something like that.
Shit,
So
what was
all the Primo that these women thought they were taking
Oh, it's
test
horrible.
propionate.
Yeah, it was
Mhm.
horrible.
You know.
And I know of one that was taking, and her voice just went bad real
Yeah.
quick. Yeah, she had to go get her voice fixed.
And
it
then
was
like
pretty
I
bad.
would warn so many girls about that. I want to take Primo. I'm like, whoa, like
Be
you
careful.
need to be sure it's exactly what it is. Or, no, but this guy tells me it's real. Yeah, everyone says that.
Well,
Yeah.
especially when they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh, how much is a bottle of test? $70. How much is Primo? Oh, it's
That's the
80
big giveaway.
bucks."
That's
You're
the
like,
big giveaway.
no, it should be like $200.
And
you know?
again, like I don't know what it is now, but 10 years ago, like test Cypionate was
Yeah.
about $300 for 10 grams, and Primobolan was
powder, you mean.
$2,800
Powder.
for
right.
Yeah,
the
before
powder, the raw
The raw,
powders to
yeah.
make, and the next closest was Anavar, right? That was pretty high, but Anavar was like $900 for like 10. And then like Primo was 2,800.
way more.
So unless this is a huge pharmacy that's putting out tons of other product where you could take a loss on the Primo, you know, anybody who's
Well,
selling that
your
for under
profit.
$100 a bottle, like even at like bulk price, it's probably fake.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're not making
Well, I
profit.
had 1 year getting ready for an important competition, and last 2 weeks I had got like some new Halotestin, and I'm like, Halotestin's awesome,
That's
especially
a strong drug.
and like, but I start
Heavily
taking it and
androgenic.
like I start getting like a little bit more watery looking, and I'm like,
On Halo, you looked watery.
Yeah, that's
found
kind
that
of
That
was
weird.
should have been
fake.
a telltale
That's kinda
sign. You're
weird.
thinking
Yeah.
like, what the fuck?
So
It was
Halo.
D-ball. It was
Yeah,
D-ball.
it was
Halo would turn
D-ball.
me into a piece of granite.
It was D.
Yeah,
I wonder why they faked Halo though. I
D-ball.
wonder why they faked it though. I
Isn't
wonder
it cheaper to
why.
make D-ball or
No,
than it
D-ball's
is
cheap, but I'm
Halotestin?
D-ball's
saying,
cheap.
but why? I
like-
mean, Halo. I didn't think it was that
It's not that
expensive.
expensive.
It was just shitty, like because here I am like last 2 weeks before a
But
competition.
Halo wasn't very available, right? Like
Not
Yeah, I used to
most
get those.
people didn't
You
have
used to get those like 2.5 milligram, 2.5 milligram or 5 milligram
Yeah.
pills, right?
yeah.
They were really low dose.
It wasn't easy to find.
Yeah, and it wasn't easier. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like Halotestin has always been like one of my favorites, to be honest. Like I just like the
At the end, like the
yeah,
last
at
month.
the-
Yeah.
at the
Oh,
end,
when you
because,
took
like,
it pre-contest, you won't want to do another contest
Oh,
without
yeah.
it. You're
Yeah,
like, oh my
like,
god.
you
Yeah.
start to, you immediately start to look better, like
Yeah.
within the next day. Like you're just like, oh my god, my skin's so thin, my veins are popping, I look amazing, and I still feel strong.
And was your blood pressure and everything okay taking Halotestin?
Well, I-
Halotestin isn't terrible with blood
Yeah.
pressure because you don't
Yeah.
get a lot of water retention at all. Like
Yeah.
the water retentive drugs like D-ball, like
Anadrol.
Adderall
yeah,
for
or
sure.
1-methyl test, like
Hmm.
One
like, yeah,
methyl
those
test.
things like man, you get whoa.
Super draw.
Yeah, any of that stuff where you feel like your head is gonna pop, you know?
Well, no, my blood pressure has always been pretty good, no matter like what I take.
Halotestin's a very, very strong androgen. Low anabolic, but a high, strong androgen.
Yeah.
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 But it did start to go up, and I think it was just more so because of like kind of the aggressive nature that it can cause in you, right? It's just like we actually had this conversation back when I was with Enhanced Athlete, and we had this conversation like what drug makes you the most angry, and like of course everyone's like, oh, trend. I'm like, oh, Halotestin for sure. I was like, I could take trend and be totally fine. You give me 20 mgs of Halotestin and put me in bad traffic, I'm fucking pissed.
Yeah,
That's crazy,
like I said,
yeah.
it's a very strong androgen. There's
Yeah.
no doubt about it.
Like you're mad, and then because it's an androgen, like now your
But
strength's
you know
through the
where
roof.
Halotestin
Mhm.
was more popular with powerlifters,
Yeah,
than it was
Interesting.
like it came out of the whole powerlifting like
Yeah.
era,
Little-
before
Get that
bodybuilders were
aggression.
taking it.
Get that
Yeah.
aggression from before
Yeah,
you left.
and I'll tell
yeah.
you,
that was a little test suspension.
I would be like
Or
2-3
methyl
weeks
test.
out at 5%, maybe even lower, like body fat, and hit all-time record highs on certain lifts.
On your lifts, yeah.
Oh yeah, it was just like that stuff is crazy.
Do that A-bomb halo combo, you know what I'm saying?
I've never done that.
For-
A-bomb
for a
halo
cut?
combo,
Sorry.
baby.
Yeah.
The liver's screaming, but your lips
Yeah.
are going through the
You
roof.
know, 4 weeks
Yeah.
of it, it's not going to hurt
It's
the livers
okay.
that bad,
Yeah,
right?
Halotestin was pretty hepatotoxic.
Well, I remember like when I was around a lot of powerlifters when I was younger, and it was funny because all these dudes, their faces were all like round,
yeah.
and they're all like, oh, and they're just loading up on those A-bombs, man. And I was just like,
Oh,
I was
damn.
like, man, I was like, I don't like the look. Like they were strong, but I was just like, I was like, I don't like the way these guys look, and so that's part of why I just wasn't
Yeah.
into it. I was like, I'd rather look good than just be strong like that.
Yeah.
They're just big dudes, big round faces. I mean,
Do they still prescribe that for like muscle wasting disease and burn patients?
I don't know.
I don't know. If that's,
I know VAR, right? They do
Yeah,
Anavar,
They
yeah,
used to,
Varda,
yeah.
and they do GH, I think. Yeah.
Burn
GH,
victims.
yes.
Yeah.
For
burn victims still
victims.
get Anadrol too.
Huh?
They get Anadrol for like burn
Anadrol's so
victims.
strong.
that's what I'm saying. Do
Oh
they
yeah,
still?
yeah,
Anadrol.
they
Yeah.
still do.
Oh, okay.
They still,
yeah.
they still do.
Because that was their biggest one. Like,
Yeah,
That was the main reason.
yeah,
for it,
because you're
was? Okay.
literally not moving at all, right? And
Yeah.
this would hold your muscle.
I used to
it
get
actually
headaches
it
from
actually
Anadrol.
increases collagen synthesis too.
Right.
So
Oh
kinda
yeah.
Yeah,
cool.
Anadrol is good for bulking, but
And that's a whole nother topic.
that's a
'Cause,
whole nother topic.
well, I mean, the collagen one, because not enough bodybuilders are even taking collagen.
Yeah.
When collagen's
Well,
such an important, like,
it's so important, but every bodybuilder's looking for that thin skin look,
yeah,
right?
I
Well,
know,
So
the
right?
whole collagen and the soft tissue, like how we were talking about Jed's favorite word, tissue, but your your body is growing so quickly, your joints need to try and keep
That's
up.
right.
So,
And your
you
joints have
know,
tons of collagen. Your bones mass too is
right.
like a lot of collagen. I think it's like nearly up to 60% in your bone mass is collagen.
That's why a lot of people think like, collagen, whatever, that's cosmetic. But yeah, if
Yeah,
you're
it's not just
growing
for your skin.
quickly,
It's not
you're
just for
gonna
your
need
skin.
it.
Right. Yeah.
Oh
And
yeah.
as you get older, like you said, that's why older bodybuilders like always look more grainy, it's
Yeah.
because they're producing less, subcutaneous in the skin.
Yeah, that's
But collagen is like,
You actually
Collagen.
the collagen and muscles and tissue repair and all that stuff. Just kind of cool that you brought that up because the other day one of my clients is actually asking me like, "Oh, can I take this collagen powder?" And I'm like, "Send me a picture of the nutrition facts on the back."
mm,
It was like 17 grams of protein per like 2 tablespoons. I was like, "That's
But it's a
not
different
bad."
type of protein. It doesn't
Right.
have that leucine that you need for muscle building. It's primarily just for tissue, soft tissue,
Yeah.
no, but I mean, your muscle,
Tissue,
yeah.
tissue, tissue.
What?
tissue.
Because you look at, well, collagen is a protein because it's 3 amino acids, right? What is
Hmm.
like glycine, proline, and prohydroxyproline. So it's those three make up collagen. And but there was a recent study, I think I was telling maybe Jed about it too, where they identified what the very best like bodybuilding, muscle building food is out there, and it turned out to be 85% ground beef.
Hmm.
Oh yeah,
And
you
you're
told
like,
me
I
that.
was about thinking
ground
like
beef,
bone
right? And it
marrow.
was because of the collagen peptides in it.
Yeah.
mm,
Interesting.
And and the leaner ground beef, because it went up to like 93 and 97, didn't pan as well because it has less of those collagen peptides that are
mm.
found more in the animal fat.
That's
So
cool.
yeah.
Yeah.
Go get that ground beef, people.
Yeah, and so like there's companies like, True Nutrition, which I absolutely
Yeah.
love, because you can like design your own protein powders, do your own flavoring system, your own additives, your own like, you can fortify it with minerals and whatever.
Is
Love
it
that
more
company.
affordable now, or is it kind
Yeah,
of about the same?
it's good. Like I
Yeah.
think it's great for what you get. I mean, protein powder is so expensive now.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
gone up so much. And
I haven't drank a protein shake since
but they have a beef collagen
2015.
peptide formula that's phenomenal.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Do you think like the
If you
animal
can't eat a lot
fats?
of ground beef and you don't want to get, you're worried about your weight.
Yeah.
Yeah, high cholesterol and like
Yeah.
plaque and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So they actually do make like a um beef collagen or like even a bone marrow protein that you can add in, which helps a lot as well too.
Yeah.
Hmm. I've been recently the last like year or so using like beef or chicken bone broth
Yeah.
um in like just making it in like my rice
It-
pot,
It's good
you
for your
know.
gut too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Mm.
it's like I thought it was pretty cool too because I suggested it to one of my other clients who was trying to get her son who was 6 or 7 because he's starting to play sports and stuff now, and she was just like, I gotta get him to eat more protein. Like he needs more protein. I'm like, yeah, you're right. He's got to make sure the muscles are getting stronger and he's like taking care of himself, get that muscle repair because he's playing soccer
Yeah,
and
6 years old, huh?
baseball. And
Mhm.
but she like
6
he
years
he
old.
doesn't like to eat meat. Like she was having the hardest time. Like he wouldn't eat chicken, he wouldn't eat beef, he wouldn't eat fish. Like he just doesn't like it. Just all he wants is like rice. And I'm like, oh, throw the bone broth in there. It's like 17 grams for a cup,
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, if he loves rice, let's just throw that in there, add the extra protein to it. So it was actually pretty cool because then she started doing that. He liked it, and then she kind of turned it into more of like a soup thing where she'd sneak some chopped chicken in there or something. And now he's actually like a little, he's doing a little better as far as getting this protein in. But a good little trick for parents if you want to add
It's
some
so
protein.
funny. People think talking about eating healthy and the food pyramid, people think eating fruits and vegetables is healthy, where we just said the food pyramid is an upside down concept where we actually should be incorporating like a lot more protein, a lot more collagen, bone bone marrow stuff, into our diets versus just thinking we're eating healthy because we're consuming a lot of vegetables
But
and
don't you
fruits.
find it peculiar that like our health leaders and
Our fat
government,
fucks.
our government, right? I
Hey,
mean,
But
look at
he's got
Hey.
a
our government.
cowboy hat and some boots and
For like
looks
anybody
cool.
to listen to Bill Gates about what we should be eating, like
He's got
Yeah.
man
slap yourself
titties.
in the face because look at him. Like, don't take nutritional advice from that jackass. You know, like, God, that guy.
I remember watching like some clip of like a court case and for like FDA, and it was just like all the guys sitting on the side.
They're all demonizing meat. By the way.
They're
Yeah.
all just like kind of slobby looking. Like, and I just the only reason why I said the cowboy hat and boots thing was because like the main guy talking was like this really out of shape, like straight from the farm, just and he's like one of the guys making some of the most money in the world, but he's over here trying to argue for the food safety like changes, like fighting against it, and it's just like, come on, dude, all you're trying to do is just fill your pocket. Like,
But this reminds me of another study that we're talking about, where they were talking about how people are so deficient in like magnesium,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so
That's a
when they actually
fact.
did this test, they thought, well, who won't be deficient in magnesium are vegans, right? Because they're always eating a lot of green, leafy vegetables and all that kind of stuff. They were deficient too,
Oh,
and that's when, and this was a number of years ago, and then they were learning it's like, well, the actual greens are deficient because the soils are deficient.
Correct.
And magnesium, I can't remember which one was more, or whether it was vitamin D, more people are deficient in, but magnesium and vitamin D were at the top. So everybody should be supplementing with those.
agreed.
And then the
Yes.
omega-3 fatty acids.
Yes, correct. Fish oil type
Right, exactly.
omega-3. So like
And not the ALA that you
no.
find in nuts and in avocados
You don't
and
need the
stuff.
369,
EPA and
just
DHA. Right.
primarily the 3. So like the people that I help, I highly promote and recommend for them to supplement with D and K,
Yep.
fish oil of a type, and 2 types of magnesium. And a lot of them will blow me off.
all right.
Hey.
I wish.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
A lot of
All
them
right.
would just be like, yeah, I don't need that stuff. But
Yes, you
and
do.
just
Yeah.
overlooking like how important your digestive system is and how much we're deficient in just all of those 3
Well,
products
just
in
like, I mean,
itself.
look at magnesium alone. Like, in order for your cells to take up almost any mineral, they have to be carried on magnesium.
Hmm.
It's like that important, and vitamin D, that's like
That's like
that's the
everything.
that is
Uh,
that is literally the soul of your immune system.
Your
You know?
immune system,
D,
your
E, and
skin,
K,
your
and how they need
eyes,
to be carried with,
hormones.
yeah.
Also really
Go
important as
Trump.
far as like the vitamin D goes, like
Pro
vitamin
FK more,
D3,
more than
Yeah.
I am Trump, but yeah.
making sure it's vitamin D3 versus D2,
Yeah.
being that one's like plant derived and one's animal derived, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
So the D3, it's like the higher bioavailability for us as humans.
And
So,
actually, you get a greater bioavailability from synthesizing it from the sun than you do
Yeah.
from any
Well,
oral
with
supplementation.
all
But
of
we
the
all can't
stuff
be in
that
the
they're
sun.
spraying in the air, like,
Oh,
are
I
you
know.
really getting the proper vitamin D from the sun as well, too, is another
Yeah.
question. So,
Yeah.
and you would never know unless you
Not
took a
even-
blood test.
Not even the sun.
I believe
Not
we
even
are
getting
because
it
we're
from the
on the
sun.
equator, so
Yeah.
we're not
Screwed.
getting,
Yeah.
We're screwed.
that's why you get burned here so much quicker
Yeah.
because there's not a lot of atmospheric pollution that we're going through. Like the sun is like directly above us.
Mhm.
And it's quite a bit difference when you're far north or far south, and then like you're going through all this atmosphere, which whatever's in the
Mhm.
air,
Mm.
and it directly, there are a lot of UV blocking going on in that sense. But yeah, so those 3, like you can't go wrong,
Yeah.
Yep. Take the K. So if you're worried about hypocalcemia, but you really got to
heart,
really do a lot to get hypocalcemia. A lot of
Oh, yeah.
vitamin D.
Oh, yeah.
N-acetylcysteine is really great. NAD is like there was who did a really comprehensive, who went over the studies was Dr. Rhonda Patrick with the MAD, the
Another good one to stack on.
nicotinamide adenosine
Yes.
dinucleotide.
NMN
MNN is
is
awesome.
awesome
Yeah.
to stack with NAD and NAC and vitamin D and K. Kids, got
Yeah.
it?
Mhm.
It protects the telomeres on your chromosomes,
It does.
and that's what actually is the aging process.
Neoticamide mononucleotide.
Nucleotide,
If you
yep.
guys don't know, NMN. It's very good stuff. It's expensive
It's,
though.
it's actually more powerful than the nicotinamide adenosine dinucleotide,
Yeah.
the
These two
NAD.
scientists
And
out
it also
there.
does increase your mitochondria as well
Yes.
too,
Good thing.
besides just your telomeres.
Yep.
So all of you guys are missing out, especially for those of you guys who don't listen to my shit. Like, oh, I'm just spending all this money on fucking supplements for nothing, Mel. Yeah. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. I know it's even with like some of the most simple stuff too. Like
Yep.
I'll tell clients, like I want you to do, 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C every day, not the chewable
It's very
version.
low.
Yeah. And I'm like, that's it for now. It's not like we're not like depleting for a show yet and that kind of stuff. So it's just like, all right, 3,000 milligrams, and it's just 1,000 milligrams 3 times a day. And I'll find out that they're not taking it at all. And I'm like, why not?
Yeah.
And you're wondering why you're sick.
And still holding water.
Yeah. And it's like, come on, dude. Like it's vitamin C, probably one of the cheapest supplements that you can find that you can take regularly, daily.
Vitamin C.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's necessary, and it's really, really hard to take too much. So
Well, it's water soluble, right?
Yeah.
And so in order to get the most out of vitamin C, you want to take it multiple times a day
Yep.
Right.
because
Yeah.
it goes in and out.
It's in and out.
Yeah.
See that as well too. I mean, I put people on game, like all of this stuff we just got through
Uh-huh.
talking about, mitochondria, telomeres and all of that other good stuff.
Mhm.
A lot of people think, oh, I don't need all those supplements for nothing.
Oh no, it
I'm
really
gonna
makes
die
it.
anyway.
The mitochondria is like
Oh yeah.
it's the energy cell of your body. Like
Absolutely.
it's so important, and we got so many mitochondrial
Mhm.
disruptors, like with all this
Yes.
garbage in
Well,
this.
well,
Have you done
Especially
broccoli
your
sprouts?
sleep. Broccoli
the
sprouts for a
sulforaphane?
little bit, yeah.
Well, I think
They don't taste really good, but they're the highest
I love 'em.
concentration of sulforaphane. Yeah,
I like them, but
which is protects the telomeres. Yeah.
no, I was just gonna say I think a lot of people probably tend to neglect those because there isn't like this instantaneous,
No,
reward from it.
absolutely.
And it's like, because when you're recommending these things to them, you're not saying like, hey, by next week, you're not even maybe next month, are you going to be like super shredded and stronger than ever? Like all you're saying like, for this is not just for your health now, but for your health 20 years from now. Like you're looking out for them, and they don't seem to get that.
No, not a lot of people understand, like I was saying, like the importance of optimizing your mitochondrial function, your digestion system, your sleep, and everything. All like the little stuff. People think that you just come in here, lift weights, and eat,
It's
and
such a small part of the
get
process.
muscles.
Right.
That's the
Mhm.
small part of the,
That's right.
yeah.
And
Like
usually
coming
the
in
most
here,
fun part.
that's why I always say, like, you don't build muscle when you come to the gym. You're actually tearing it down.
Hmm.
Right. That's why the rest and the food. That's why I always say everyone's like, oh, it's 80%. Like diet is 80% of bodybuilding. And I'm like, no, it's not. Like it's 33 and a third.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because your training is only creating the stress for the stimulus of growth. That's it.
The
Like you're just
progressive
creating
overload,
the
yes.
stress to create the adaptation, but none of that happens without the rest. So let's say you put 100% into training, you train nonstop. You did nothing else, right? What's going to happen? You're going to be
You're
a
gonna
tiny little
die.
nothing, right? You're just
You're-
tearing muscle down all the time. Okay, you didn't train at all, but you ate real good. You ate like a
ate
bodybuilder, and
clean.
you're going to just be a fat, because now you're getting all these extra calories, and none of
Not
it's
using
going to
for
protein
shit.
synthesis or muscle
Yeah.
growth or anything, right?
Mm.
And then how about you
Unless
train
your
real good,
BMR is super high.
huh?
I said unless your BMR is super high.
Yeah, you're right. Now imagine like in the same essence, you put all your emphasis on just resting. You're not eating, right? So like you have to
All
have
your
all
emphasis
three,
on
Relax.
resting.
right? It's
Just
like,
you're a Pokemon from now
and then
on.
everyone thinks like a lot of body because we love the way it feels to train and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And who doesn't love to eat? You know what I mean? It's just like, oh, we're getting enough, but they don't put any emphasis on the rest.
Yeah.
Or they train too much because they think the more they get in here, the better they're getting.
Mhm.
No,
Yeah.
again,
That's
muscle
true.
builds outside of the gym, and it doesn't happen overnight.
Didn't you have a client before? Like I don't think he was trained with you at the time, but he gave himself rhabdo. Or
Yes.
something? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who was that?
Overworking.
I don't remember, but
Names.
huh?
So I was like, I don't think we're supposed to be dropping names.
No, we can't.
Yeah.
These people, nobody knows who this is.
Oh, I had rhabdo before.
Nobody will know
I think it
who
was
this
Jonah.
client
I think
is.
it was Jonah. It
You're
was
right.
Jonah,
Yeah, you're right.
It
You're
was,
right. Yep. Yeah, and I had rhabdo before when I was doing when I was weightlifting, doing stand-up martial arts. and that's what I was doing as a job,
Yeah.
teaching. I had my own school, and then I was doing jujitsu
Oh,
so I was doing
wow.
all three every day, like hitting
Yeah,
all
it's a
three
lot.
sessions, and then I like totally rhabdoed out, and it was, oh, you feel like you're dying,
Death. You're fucking
you
death.
know?
You were doing
Yeah,
like 5 days a week, 6 days a week.
yeah,
training?
Could you tell like as it was coming on,
yes,
and then
yep.
you just kind of kept that mindset of like, nope, gotta keep going hard,
So
hard,
this
hard,
was back
hard.
when I was living in Arizona, and I was, you know, young. I just thought I'm bulletproof,
Oh,
and I
yeah.
was just like, yeah, I was just like, oh, I'm in great shape. My cardio was phenomenal, right? I was just in amazing shape.
Mm.
And I was really getting into like lifting. I was like, that's when I started really learning nutrition, and I was getting a lot of gains. And so I was just at the peak of my, and I was just killing it.
What did it feel like?
Huh?
What did it feel like as it was
Oh,
like coming on?
so the owner of my company, who the owner, not my company, the owner of the company that I was working for, that aviation engineering company, he owned a couple of timber wolves, but the U.S. government made this thing: nobody can keep a timber wolf as a pet, so they had to give them up to the sanctuary, and we drove down into New Mexico to volunteer to build these sanctuaries for these North American timber wolves. These things are gigantic dogs. Like,
Really?
they're bigger than Great Danes. Like they're just,
Oh my god.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
big dogs, And so, we were putting up fence posts and stuff, and we were going down on weekends to do this stuff, when I wasn't training. So we're driving all the way down there to do labor,
Yeah.
and I just remember at one night, and it's cold, right? We're out in the middle of the desert and all that kind of stuff. And I'm sweating, and I start going into this mean chill,
Oh shit.
and the chill would not go away. And during the day, it would get super hot. I was freezing in the middle of the day. Like the next day, I'm like, I'm in bad shape,
In the
you
middle of
know?
New Mexico.
I'm in the middle of New Mexico.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, there's definitely something wrong there.
There's definitely something wrong. And I remember making that drive back up to Phoenix and just like barely making it,
Wow.
feeling terrible. And I remember I started throwing up and all this kind of stuff. And then I just like didn't show up to work the next day. I'm like laying in bed, and it's just getting worse. And then finally, like, ended up going to the hospital, and my inflammation markers were just through the roof.
How much weight did you
Jeez.
lose?
I don't remember.
No.
No, I don't remember. I mean, this was so many years ago, but I just remember like they put me on a glutathione drip,
Yeah.
and it's like almost like instantly brings you out. Like you start feeling, they give you like a bunch of
IV and potassium
anti-inflammatories
and
in the
anti-inflammatory, yeah.
middle, but it was
Those
like,
drips are amazing.
yeah, like they give you some of the heavy pharmaceutical ones, and then you
Yeah.
get like the exogenous glutathione. And yeah, it was like, holy Christ, like
Oh.
you've
You've had so many near deaths.
Yeah.
Jeff. I mean,
Well,
there's
yeah.
a lot of stories that Jeff has about.
But I'll tell you,
near
it when you feel immortal, boy, it really grounds you. And you're like, okay, my body is actually it's not as strong as you think it is. It's pretty weak. Like you can't kill it. Like it's
Yeah.
got its thing,
wild.
You gotta try to find your sweet spot,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
good talk today.
Yeah.
That
That's it.
was
See you later.
a lot of information again. These two very scientific.
Nerds.
Nerds.
They know a lot about this stuff. So great. So we got them on here. So anyway, yeah. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And
Hope you learned
everybody's good?
something.
Everybody's good. Yeah. All
Yep.
right. And we'll see you next time on Paradise Pump. Aloha.